So one of the really cool things that happens every single month is our schedules are released at work, and we get the entire schedule for the following month on the 21st of every single month. Now, I've been flying all day, and everyone else on my crew has already looked at their schedule, and tons of my friends are messaging me asking me, "What did you get for May?" And to be honest, I have no idea. I haven't even opened my schedule, which never happens. I'm usually like refresh, refresh, refresh on the button every single 5 minutes. But I wanted to bring you along and let you know what schedule release actually feels like. So, the way that it works for schedules is we have to have our bids in for what we want out of our schedule on the 12th in the morning. The month prior, I have to sit down and they release what they think the pairings or each block of scheduled flights is going to look like. And so a pairing can be 1 day, it can be up to 6 days. It's kind of just how long we're paired together and on the road. So on the 9th, they release the preliminaries as to what they think the schedule is going to look like for us to start bidding on those pairings. So it kind of gives us an idea as to like what flights are available in which base and what we actually are able to bid on. So the system that we currently use is a seniority based system, but it's also been adapted from the previous system that we used to use, which was more of a social bidding, where seniority didn't really play into it. It was about satisfaction scores. So we get 16 lines that we're able to choose and bid on items, and it can be things like bidding on a specific pairing. I can bid on destinations. I can bid to avoid destinations. I can bid for days off. And so there's a ton of different ways that I can bid. But we only get 16 lines, and each one is weighted with a different number of points. And so if the computer gives you two of your number two bids, it is going to give you something like 960 points times two towards your score, is kind of how it works in a nutshell. It's confusing. Trust me, I don't think half of us understand it, but we get a schedule out of it. So after looking at the preliminary pairings, this month there wasn't really a lot of 4 day pairings, which is kind of what I like to work the most, where we go on the road for 4 days. It's like the right amount of being away, but then also coming home, but still getting our work done in a relatively short number of days. So that was my number one bid this month, was that I wanted 4 day pairings. And now, in conjunction with that, there was a ton of 5 day pairings, and I don't like those. So I bid avoid 5 day pairings as my number two bid. Then I bid avoid 3 days because I really wanted those 4 days. So I was telling the computer, like, don't even look at these, like, just give me my 4 days. And then I did avoid 2 days and avoid 1 days because I don't want those at all. I probably should have put them a little bit higher, but the way the math works, I think that that might have worked. Fingers crossed. I have no idea. I haven't looked at my schedule yet. Then there was also a ton of flights that went in and out of Edmonton, but all of those flights that like had nights in Edmonton, we would end up doing 4 or 5 flights every single day. And I didn't want to do that. So I bid avoid Edmonton as one of my bids. And then the next avoid that I bid was I wanted to avoid layovers in Halifax. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Halifax. It's one of my favorite cities. The problem is that it's 2 time zones from Winnipeg, which means that if we're doing a 6 a.m. departure, I have to be at the airport at 5 a.m., which means our shuttle pickup is usually around 4:20, 4 o'clock ish, which means I have to be up at 3 a.m., which with that 2 hour time change, that means I'm waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning, Winnipeg time, and then flying 14 hours. My body doesn't like that, so I didn't want to do that. Trust me, I'd love to spend more time in Halifax, just I don't want to do what they scheduled us. So, kind of when I looked at everything, I was like, maybe if I tell the computer that I want to have layovers in Calgary, maybe it'll give me a good schedule. So, I don't know what I'm actually going to get, but let's log in together. Okay, so I have my iPad with me, and let me tell you, I'm nervous to see what May is going to look like because I have no idea what to expect. All right, here goes. I'm hitting the button. Loading. All right. Okay, so we are starting out the month with a 3 day pairing, which is something we didn't ask for. And day one is going to be Winnipeg to Vancouver to Calgary to Kelowna. And we have 21 hours in Kelowna. So that means we'll be downtown, which will be nice. I like that hotel. Day two, we're going from Kelowna to Calgary to Victoria back to Calgary. And we only have 13 hours in Calgary. So that means we'll probably be staying pretty close to the airport. I like that hotel too. And I have friends that work there. So that'll be good. And then on day three, we're doing Calgary to Chicago, back to Calgary, and then off to Winnipeg. So that's going to be 20 hours of flying in 3 days. So that's pretty good. And if the people that I'm scheduled with stay on it, I like that crew a lot. Then it gave me a 2-day pairing. And day one, we're going Winnipeg to Calgary. And then we're supposed to have 27 hours on the ground. But crew scheduling likes to take that and be like, oh, you only work 2 hours. Here's a whole bunch more flying. And I am going to be the second most junior on that flight. So there's a good chance that I'm going to get pulled. Crew scheduling, don't pull me. The next day, we're doing Calgary to Las Vegas, back to Calgary, back to Winnipeg. So that one will be 10 hours worth of flying in 2 days. All right, so we did get a 4-day. This one's kind of exciting. I like this crew a lot as well. We are going day one, Winnipeg to Calgary to Minneapolis, back to Calgary. We are scheduled 16 hours on the ground, so that'll probably be an airport hotel stay. The next day, we are going Calgary to Victoria to Calgary to Saskatoon, which is going to be this hotel. And that means pizzas. So 15 hours on the ground here. The next day is Saskatoon to Vancouver, back to Saskatoon. Another 18 hours in Saskatoon. And then we are doing Saskatoon to Vancouver to Saskatoon on day 4. And then we will just ride as passengers back to Winnipeg on a Q400. So that's a pretty easy day too. That one will be 21 hours worth of flying in that 4-day. And another awesome crew. I'm really liking these crews so far. And then my last one is a 3-day. So Winnipeg, Calgary, Calgary to Phoenix. I will have a 15-hour layover in Phoenix, which that hotel is really nice because I like the pool. Day number 2 is going to be Phoenix to Calgary to Victoria, back to Calgary with 13 hours on the ground in Calgary. And then we're doing Chicago turn again on day 3 and back to Winnipeg. So that one's another, actually, I think I've only worked with one of the people on that cruise. So that'll be an interesting one. So that's another 21 hours of flying. All right. So our minimum monthly guarantee is 80 hours of flying a month. Now, we don't get paid if the door is open. That's just door closed to door open is how we figure out our block hours. So I'm guaranteed 80. I was scheduled 83 hours and 27 minutes. Oh, so here's a fun little trick that I didn't catch on to. I was looking at my satisfaction score as to like how the computer awarded my points. And it's saying that it gave me 3 pairings that are 4 days in length. But now here's the interesting thing is that any flight that gets back past 12:59 into Winnipeg is considered an extra day on the schedule. And so because we're scheduled to get back at 12:55 a.m. plus 15 minutes, that puts us at 1:10. And so that's considered a 4-day pairing. So it did give me technically what I asked for in a roundabout way. So I'm not complaining too hard. Those pairings look pretty good, but that's kind of funny. It did give me a 2-day pairing, so it had to deduct the points off of that. But then it gave me 4 layovers in Calgary as well. So that was a pretty good month. I'm kind of excited. I'm looking forward to this. So anyway, that was my monthly schedule reveal and literally a completely blind reaction because I didn't open my schedule before. So I'm going to say overall, I'm happy with May and looking forward to flying with it. Anyway, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And thanks so much for sharing my schedule reveal with me. Can't wait to see you again in my next video. Okay, bye.